I was asked by one of my colleagues, what is NMC? For the last few days, this has been the topic over the social media, the print media, and all over the India. So I'm here to something elaborate about the NMC 2019. NMC 2019 in the sense, National Medical Commission Bill 2019. This was recently passed in the Rajya Sabha. And what does this do? It standardizes the medical education all over the India, which is arguably the current need of the hour. I agree with that. But it also allows the unqualified medical practitioners who have not even entered the medical college once in their life to practice equally to MBBS practitioners. Hence, all over the India, the doctors started to protest, and I strongly support that. Because at my 8th standard, I strongly dreamt of becoming a doctor. And after finishing my 10th, I started to study for the exam as if there's nothing in this world except cracking the entrance examination. Once I've cracked the examination, I've entered the medical college and I've completed my years. Within a few days, I'm going to start my internship. And at this point of time, I've read an article in the newspaper stating that with a bridge course of 6 months, people who practice Ayurveda, homeopathy, Unani and pharmacy can start their practice equivalent or some level of medicine to the MBBS graduates. To be frank, this is really scary. And you can say it's something like an atrocity, because for an actual MBBS graduate, it takes 6 years to complete his course, to start the treatment in your clinic, to formulate the treatment regimen or the intravenous treatments, whatnot, everything. And with a bridge course of 6 months, how do you think that you can become equivalent to a 6 years of hard work? For example, if any one of your family members, either your father, son, mother, whatever, anyone, is suffering from a particular illness, would you prefer taking them to an MBBS graduate or the practitioners who had came here with some sort of bridge course? Now let me read you some of the lines that I found. The bill which has passed recently says that the Commission can grant a limited license to practice medicine at mid-level as a community healthcare providers to people with modern scientific medical profession and qualifies criteria that would be by the regulation. I did not understand this clearly. See, what does the term limited license means? And what is the practicing of medicine at mid-level? What do you call, or whom do you call the modern scientific medical practitioners? And regulations. Who would formulate these regulations? Who would be the regulatory body? What would be those regulations? Nothing is clear. The second point. The community health providers may practice medicine in circumstances that will be specified by regulation. Acha, what are the circumstances that you would allow these 6 months bridge course individuals to practice? And if something goes wrong or if something complicates, who would take the responsibility of the patient? Nothing is clear here. And now the third one, this is really scary. The third one, this is really scary. These individuals may independently prescribe medication without the supervision of a doctor in a primary and preventive health care. Without the supervision of a higher individual, how can they treat the patients? As I told you previously, if anything goes wrong, what would they do? Okay, for some point of time, let us assume that we've understood everything, all the clauses, something like midterm practitioner, limited resources, limited experience, and regulations, circumstances. You understand everything. Frankly, we have not understood anything, but I assume that you understand. Then, even if you allow these practitioners such as homeopathics, pharmacists, and Unani medicine to practice this medicine, to practice in the normal society, then how are you going to make sure that they do not cross the so-called limit and start practicing the actual medicine that is followed by the MBBS graduates? Because in India, in every street there is unqualified medical practitioners who claims himself to a doctor. But now you're legally making that true. You're legally giving them the authority to go for the 6 month bridge course and then claim him to be an actual doctor. But how can you say that? If this happens, then the individuals or the patients in the society would not know what is the difference between an MBBS graduate who had completed his internship, residency, and go on furtherly becoming his post graduation, and the individuals who had completed the 6 month bridge course. The patient would be really confused. He would not know the difference. There would be a total deterioration in the healthcare system. At the end of the day, a doctor is a doctor, and he's a specialist for a reason. The so-called government is saying that as per the population norms, there is a lot of need of the doctors, and so we have brought this bill to increase the number of doctors, to increase the number of practitioners, to settle that level, to solve the problem. But if anything goes wrong, if anything complicates, who would assure the life of the patient? Would the government do? No. The doctor has to do that. And how can you regulate such laws? To be frank, this is really something like an atrocity, really scaring, and I really felt this is the time and the need of hour to raise our voice against the NMC Bill 2019.